put it on. He's okay with this. Yeah.
All right, Tim, you sound like we're going live. We're good? All right. Yeah, well, good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 10th. It's 2:31 p.m. We are down in the R building, and this is College Council. And so we will we'll begin with roll call. So Ricky, as you all know, is not able to join us today, but he might be online. So Mona, our academic senate president. Here. Nick. Here. Tilly, the vice president of instruction. Present. Rob Ewell, dean of information and learning technologies.
Present.
Caesar Gumapas, the information officer. Present. Daniel Gonzalez, our supervisory rep. It still has Sunam as our president of cabinet, but we know that that is now our good friend Sean Bacon over there. Present. Susan Murray, dean of Institute of Effectiveness, is not going to be able to join us today. Andy McNeil is our administrative rep. Present. Nina Martinez, the reason we are all here, president of the Associated Student Government. President Sean Ryan, president of Classified Senate.
Present.
Mark Wanzuris, coordinator of Professional Learning Council. Present. And Itza Deloy, our ideas rep. Right, and I see that Daniel is locked in, so we will.
Present.
Yay. Thank you, Daniel. Right. So all of you have the agenda in front of you, so I will ask you to look at the minutes from our last meeting, and then I will seek to have someone go to the minutes from February 10th.
Daniel, I'm looking to approve the minutes.
We have a motion by Daniel. Is there a second? Second. Second by Nick. Any objections? Seeing none, then our minutes are approved. So as you all know, usually Ricky takes his time to remind us that that this is the highest level of shared governance on our campus. And so if folks need to submit any items for the agenda, then please submit them to either one of the representatives from our council and or submit them to President's office via and or on Haley, and that's that will be one way to get it on the agenda. Right. So first up on our agenda is an action item. So we've got an update on the Seville Theater remodel. So I'm going to turn it over to Andy to introduce our guests, and then we will, after the presentation, take a motion to you off You are good right there. Sean has that wonderful camera that will point for you.
Oh, right there. I don't know if you heard, but we're gonna be replacing the Seville Theater. We've been working with RNT, the architect firm, and Sun, the building firm, with faculty, with classified professionals, and pretty much everybody who has anything to do with facilities and teaching in that space and on production. And it's been a great experience. We've gone through working meetings where we have put up everything on the wall and said, this is what we want, this is what, and then narrowed it down to this is what we need. We looked at different theaters, went on a few field trips to check out what they have, and came up with some, great programming, I guess is what we call it at this stage, after our conceptual view of it. And so now we're ready to move forward to the next phase. And so today we have Ramel Elias from RNT. We have Jenna also from RNT, and then we have Pamela Hermosillo from Sun. that's part of that group and have done a fantastic job. I'm sorry.
They did all the work though.
And I'm blanking. Ryan Browning, who is like the specialist on theaters from.
I'm not a theater specialist, I'm the program director for GAFCON.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say second. So, yeah, this group has guided us and all the faculty and everybody doing it. We just went to the ASG and presented to them, and they had a lot of great questions, so we're moving on. But, Lamel is gonna walk us through what we've done. Sorry, that will, Ryan. Hello, everyone. Thanks for giving us a little bit of your time. If Tia's gonna present something.
Randy, we only spent the last year together.
Yeah, you can tell how much I love standing up.
Promise, it's not just gonna be me.
I would.
Well, since it's a theater, maybe you could do song and dance or something.
Ooh, wrong guy.
I'll do it.
We'll be the judge.
Okay, that helps. It's always a last switch.
Okay, thanks, Andy, for that brief intro. You did cover a lot of the stuff we're gonna talk about, but, for those who may not be aware, we've been working on this since about October. We've been meeting with various stakeholder groups, district and, including, maintenance staff, including many people that's associated with this project. What we're calling this is programming. This programming phase in the sense where we're identifying all the problems, all the issues, all the challenges, and is also listening to all the needs and wants from various stakeholders so that we can best develop the program, the scope of work for the new building. You're gonna see a lot of sketches, a lot of diagrams here. By no means is this a finished product. So what you see here is not gonna be what the building will ultimately look like. It's a way for us to really just identify and study what the issues are in diagrammatic, so that we can then move on to the next phase, which I'll talk about at the very end, and really refining the design. So backing up a big picture, we started off with this diagram. Really, it's a study of where this building sits in relation not only to the campus, but to the community and to downtown at large. As you know, in red, C Street is going east, right? It's a very prominent road. So the placement of this building is very visual, not only along C Street, but as a gateway or as a forefront to the campus. So we wanted to make sure that whatever it is we do with this building, that it both works both for the campus, but also for the community at large. What you see there in green in the arrow, that's 14th Street, which ultimately is going to become a green belt. That's going to connect Petco to the park. So the building is literally at the doorstep of that main access point. So it's an important site. It's an important feature. So we want to make sure we respect that and really try to take advantage of all the features that may be there. The other part to this is really making sure that we connect the new building to the existing campus, and that's identified there in yellow, all the various access points and thoroughfares for pedestrians, visitors alike. So not only do we want to reconnect it, but we also want to enhance it and make sure that we create better flow through this project. And there's also going to be a future amphitheater just to the left or to the west of this project. Now, that's not part of our current scope, but we do need to design for it. We need to make sure that whatever we develop as far as the building's concerned will work with that. So these are all some of the big picture items that we are keeping in mind
as we develop and kind of zoom in on the more detailed items. Another site plan just to show its context to the South Campus. And then the next slide really zooms in on where we are. This particular one shows the various constraints that we're dealing with. You can see the big prominent one on the west. There's a big fault line. And the two dotted lines along that is the area that we really need to stay away from. So obviously we can't build building on that site. You can also see the same access points I was mentioning earlier, as well as its relationship not only to C building, just immediately north, but to the AH building. So this is the area we have to work with, and we need to make sure that our new building works in response to all these various. We'll skip this one, nothing fun there, it's just utilities. During the programming meetings, we did a lot of site tours. In fact, we toured 3 different examples of projects. We toured Morse High School, Southwestern College, PAC, as well as the Conrad up in La Jolla. And then we also did a lot of charrettes, and you can see here some stakeholder meetings in this room itself, where we engaged stakeholders to help us define and help us articulate what this design might look like. So it's been pretty successful, as Andy attested to. The big takeaway, a lot of numbers, but the big takeaway is this new program that we're providing is going to be 16,500 square feet larger than your current Seville Theater, almost 2.5 times larger. And ultimately, you're going to end up with the inclusion of the existing 10,000 square feet that's in Building C. You're going to have over 26,000 square feet of PAC and theatrical facilities. We also identified the various needs and wants. All the needs that you see on the left first column are all green, meaning we've incorporated those into the design. There's a few wants that's still in progress and not yet incorporated due to budget and other concerns. So those are things that we're going to be working through as we develop the design to make sure that hopefully we can get all of those things in there. So I'm going to start talking about the site plan. I know we're limited in time, so I'm going to glance over it. Again, this is diagram. This is not the actual floor plan, but this is the lower level against the street, against C Street. The idea is that you can literally walk from C Street into the lobby, as opposed to where it is now, where it's up on the hill. This will be down on the street level. They'll take you into a lobby. They'll take you into a set of stairs that will take you up to the next level, which will be the main level. Yeah. So this is the main level, which is aligned with the campus or with C Street. So I'm sorry, not C Street, C building. When you come up the stairs, you end up in a mezzanine. And then from that mezzanine, you're able to enter the auditorium from the rear. And on either side of the auditorium, either side to the south of the auditorium, you have the restrooms and storage facilities. To the north, you have all the back of house program, green rooms, practice rooms, things like that. And then to the very east, you'll see the stage along with additional storage and crossover spaces that will also connect to the campus itself. That would be where the campus entrance would be occurring. You notice it's facing a different way than it presently is. That was one of the big discussion points with the stakeholders. We proposed 3 different ideas which way it should orient. Everyone gravitated to this one, which we were happy with, because this one we felt had the most options, not only with connection to the C building, but also future connection to the amphitheater. So we felt that this one really bridged the gap between the bigger picture of what this building holds. Next one. This is just
Question.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Is there still a walkway between the C building and the theater? Like, is there still space to walk between them?
Yeah, so this perfect timing,
Oh,
because this is that slide right here. So the bottom half you'll see is the new building, the upper portion is C building. So right now, what we're planning to is develop a courtyard between those 2 buildings. Whether or not that tunnel or that walkway remains, that's still something that we're working through to determine that. But regardless of whether that's there or not, there will be a connection between the 2. It's like you cued that, right? And this is the upper floor, or 3rd floor. It sits along C Street. And this one will be composed of the dance room and a multi-purpose space up above. The idea here is this will really be a prominent feature along C Street. It's gonna be, a lot of it will be glazed, a lot of it will be very prominent because of its height, but also it's gonna reflect a lot as to the scale of the adjacent streets and buildings. These are just quick diagrammatic studies of what a section through the building would look like. So this is an east-west. So this is the amphitheater. You're cutting across the theater itself, auditorium, with the stage on the other side with the AH building. So this kind of shows you the heights and such. And then similarly, this is the opposite one, cutting north and south. C Street is on the right side and C building on the left, showing you the scale. And finally, we did some early studies of what this could look like. Like this is again schematic or programmatic, but the idea of having this facade along C Street, having that volume up top, it relates to the adjacent buildings in terms of height and materials. You can see on the right, we're proposing exposed concrete, brick, glass, similar to what's here. As we move into later phases, we'll really be dictating or identifying what those materials will be. But this is an idea of what we're proposing to do. And then this is the east and west elevation, similarly in nature. The west elevation is the one that you would see if you were on the amphitheater or if you were going along C Street. And this, you saw this one at the beginning. This is just a quick diagram of massing what it would look like. And finally, the next step. So we finished programming. That's what you just saw. The next step are these. It's really just a refinement of the program and really starting to develop what this project's going to look like, as well as identifying the various systems that we're going to incorporate. Of course, as we go through the design, we're going to be aligning everything with the cost estimate, and then working with our Sant and GATFON team regarding the project schedule. So that's going to be a continuous process all the way. And finally, this is, we already started this. This is one of the first tasks of this new space. More focused programming, and we had one last Friday with some of the specific user groups on those items, stage and auditorium. Then we're going to have a couple more. And those will really dive into some of the details of those specific rooms and areas that we're going to be looking forward. So ultimately, around May, we're going to be submitting the schematic design set, and that's going to be inclusive of kind of what you just saw, but in more refined nature. It's going to have more details of every room, things like that. So that will probably be presented to you guys at that time. That's it. So any questions from anyone?
How much does the footprint of the building change? I didn't get a good handle. I know it's growing, but is that because we're going higher, or is the footprint also changing too?
Because of where we are, we're locked in.
Okay.
So it's very, we are growing a little bit, but because we're limited, we had to go up in order to accommodate that additional 10,000. Thank you.
I just wanted to bring back this page that you,
Sure.
my favorite page of, it's the wants and the needs. And really just to share with the college, I think this is a remarkable piece that you all did. And there was a lot of wants, right? There's still some in the red, but slowly we're breaking those down, and maybe some we'll never get to.
Right.
But I really like this one a lot because I think it just demonstrates what you all have done to collaborate to really try to meet those needs. As we continue and start to look at, after thinking of Marco, like we're talking about the LRC building itself, as we look here and going upstairs, Daniel, a little bit to the library, this would be a wonderful space to get like what we really want, and then what do you even have. I just think this is a great process. So this is like my favorite slide. So I just like love that.
It's easy to understand now.
It is.
Yes, ma'am.
I approached actually more for the body than for.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if there will be discussions in the future to consider a different name for the Civil Theater that might be more relevant to our campus community, our location, our current location, our demographic, that's more like perhaps more culturally relevant. I actually don't know a whole lot of the history of like who's Seville and like who is the theater named after, but I just thought that this would be a good opportunity to like think through some of those things as we move forward and maybe like we're not the same campus that we were back then when the college was first constructed.
I think it was a faculty member for theater drama that it is named after. So that's something to consider, yes. Thanks. And yet, if there's no other questions, I think we're looking for an acceptance of programming at its present state.
As we all heard from Andy, so this is an action item, so we are looking for a motion to accept this, and so they can move into the next phase.
Marciano, this is Rob. I move to accept.
All right, got a motion to accept. Robbie, second. Second from Tilly. Any objections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And any abstentions? Motion carries and we will move forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for coming. Even you.
Andy, anything for you?
So, 3%. All right, our next agenda item is the diversity committee, so I'm gonna turn it over to Narelle, who is here to report.
I have your.
She has,
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Hi, everybody.
Those are-
My first time in Congress.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll be in and out, so that you all continue your meeting, your very productive meeting. So Ricky asked me to come to a quick report back on the diversity committee. I'm the new chair of the diversity committee. We've done a lot of restructuring since I became chair, and so Ricky wanted me to come in and share what we've been up to. This is not a presentation about the diversity committee and what we do or like our charge. Although we are working on revising that and updating it. This is just focused specifically on our new process in funding projects at City College. So I'll just start really quick. I would like to explain what the Campus Diversity Advisory Council is and how that's relevant to the Diversity Committee. So the council develops strategies to enhance diversity, social justice, et cetera, across the district. And the structure generally just consists of a committee made up of a representative from each campus and including the district. So I'm the CDAC representative. And we attend meetings monthly and we report back on these particular activities. On our activities, the activities that we basically coordinate. We're supposed to coordinate diversity related events and activities on our campus. And so my job is to go to these meetings and I say, this is what City College is. So how that is relevant to the diversity committee is the diversity committee approves how these funds are used. So the district receives $138,000 from the state. It used to receive $55,000 and it's gone up to $138,000. We actually don't know if that's going to continue and how long that's going to continue. As you know, with funding, you never know. But for now, we have these funds. And what the district does, it distributes $10,000 to each campus, including the district. And those funds can be used in one fiscal year. So we get $10,000 a year to do diversity related activities, et cetera. And so that's why CDAC is important, because then I have to go and say, this is what we're doing. So next slide, please. You
can finish, I'll write my question.
okay. And so the district requires whatever the respective committees on each campus to decide. That way, it's not just one person deciding. So the other campuses have different types of committees and they're called different things. For ours is called the Diversity Committee. And so we just created this new process and we have a committee member here, so we presented the committee. The committee, I forgot, I presented it Senate yesterday. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to share who our members are, but but I'll talk about that at the end. And so, we spent all of fall coming up with a new process, which is why we did the call out at the end of fall to distribute the funds in the spring. But in actuality, those funds should be used fall and spring, but it's just, so this process is not gonna be this way. The way that we did it this time, it's not the way we're gonna do it in the future, because now that we have a process, now we can do the call out and then distribute those funds for fall and spring. So it just kind of worked out that way. I also told Senate yesterday, we meet twice a month for 1 hour, and there's just only so much we can get done in 1 hour. So it did take us a little bit. We worked really hard on this, and we're gonna continue working to make the process better. So basically what we did is we created a call out. We did a call out, so you probably got it in your inbox, and the call out is for everybody, both faculty, student clubs, registered student clubs, classified and SPA. And so then people submit their applications. There's a deadline. They submit the applications. The committee scores applications, very similar to our hiring process. Like, you know, we have a number, we score them, and then the applications are ranked. We also decided that if a committee member submits an application, that they would recuse themselves from scoring those applications, just as an FYI, in case anyone's interested in serving on the diversity committee in the future, that if you submit an application yourself, we all collectively voted on this as a committee. And so we received 24 applications and over $22,000 in funding requests. We were able to fund 13 projects, and we awarded all the funding, which is fantastic. We did fund 3 student clubs. I forgot to add one more student clubs, their projects. We funded their projects. These are the folks who got awarded their projects. The projects that got awarded it, and the name under names is just like the representative, or not like just that one person. But we were unfortunately unable to award what everybody was requesting. But there was a few of these did get the amount that they requested. So we put a minimum of $300 to a maximum of $1,000. But as you know, it's clear $10,000 is not that much. And so instead of funding less, we awarded more projects, but just gave out a little bit less than what they were asking for. Basically these are the folks who got funded, or the projects that got funded. I think I'm really proud of the work we did. We're going to continue working on revising this process. Thank you. It's still a work in progress, and we learned a lot from this first round. We'll be creating a new rubric and a new framework, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do the call out. I'm thinking, I have to talk to the committee this week, but I'm hoping that we do the call out at the end of spring, so that by fall, and whoever wants projects funded in the fall, they have that information, they have their funding ready to go. I will say that we need more diversity, equity, anti-racist, etc. training, professional development proposals. I get to hear what other campuses are doing because in the CDAC monthly meetings, and they do a lot more professional development around diversity, equity, anti-racism, etc. No one submitted that this time around. So I'm hoping that that's something that you all can encourage your folks that work under you to do. And I will also say that to please fund your areas, your respective areas. You know, we do have a culture on this campus where people go to where there's pockets of funds, right? And like, okay, so the diversity committee has funding. Let me ask the diversity committee if they can fund this thing or that thing. And so I also just want to share, like also those folks who are tuning in, this is not that the committee to do that with, because our funding is so limited. It's just $10,000. And we are very intentional about the type of stuff that the projects that we're funding. And so we got, for example, and again, this isn't because these things shouldn't be funded or they're not worthy of funding, but we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not worthy of funding. So we got some proposals that should be funded, but they're not wort funded by their respective programs. Like, for example, proposals from the transfer center, from career, asking for supplies. We got proposals for graduation, et cetera. And again, this is not to say that those are not worthy of funding, but that's not the purpose or the vision of this committee, A, and B, I have to also report back on what we're doing here to the district. And so I can't tell the district, oh, we funded this, right? Or like we funded these projects that don't necessarily fit within what they would like us to do, the purpose of what the funding is supposed to be used for. But that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yeah.
For the amount that the district gets currently, the 138,
Yeah.
and then there's the 10 that goes to the colleges and then the district, where's the other amount go?
So the district, that's a great question. So the district, so I meet with Johanna, hopefully she's the EO officer, the district EO officer. And that's who, like, the chair of our CDAC committee. And so she will always tell us that if there's like a really special speaker or something that we want to do on the campus and we don't have enough funds, that we can always ask and request funds from them. That's one. We also they will also sponsor attendance to conferences like the CDAC chairs or representatives. So, but I mean, I'm sure there's probably not all these on that. So like I can go to a conference and have it funded by those funds. And that's all I know, actually. That's all I know. That's a great question. But at least we know that if we do need some extra funds, that we might be able to ask them for some funding for like some kind of like big speaker, for example, you know, some really expensive speaker. But if you get emails from professional development at the district, that's the person who uses these funds to put on professional. The email is actually called professional, like person sending it called professional funds. So when you see that, you know that that's a lot of that stuff is, a lot of those activities are funded by this fund. And I do know that if in case anyone cares to know, I know that the budget managers are our council, Luisha and Jared, they're the budget managers. If you have more questions about that, then that might be a good place to start.
So I'm just gonna push that a little bit more. I think I hear Marco, and I'm gonna hear it in the background is, so if getting professional development money at the district like that, could there possibly be a little bucket for our college with professional development in some of these areas? So I heard you and helpful follow up with Luisha.
Yeah.
But that's what I kind of heard, because Jolene's the one that puts us
Yeah,
on, right?
yeah, exactly.
So
Jolene's the one that-
Marco, I think we're like right on the same
Yeah.
space there, so.
But I think what they're gonna say, and yes, of course, like, talk to them, is like, that should go to diversity committee if you're using these funds,
Sure.
right? But I would encourage like some of these like TIA, ED.
But in this time where we are all coming up to such a crunch on funding, and
Yeah,
if this is a possibility for us to grow on our own campus with diversity, like ideas and what have you, maybe that might be a space for us to.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I appreciate it.
I think my argument here, and I think what the committee saw with some of the proposals was that like, we wanna be really, I hate to use the word intentional, it's so played out, you know, I just, but I don't like using that, because people use, but there is like an anti-racist lens, right, that we're using here, and that we don't wanna just fund, like, you know, one of the things that we discussed as a committee is like, anybody can make an argument that any of these projects are for diversity because our students are diverse, we serve a diverse population, et cetera. And so we don't want it to get watered down, right? We really want it to be like a really impactful for the campus. I showed the rubric yesterday, but I won't show it today because it goes back on my computer. But one of the areas there that we scored is innovation and creativity and impact. Like who makes a larger impact on our campus community. Is also, we're scoring for that as well. So yeah, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. I have one more question. So I have never seen the diversity committee or CDAC present here. You said that they previously received funds. How were those funds in the past distributed?
So I asked Joanna because when when I entered into this role, I had a lot of questions, I don't know a whole lot. She said that we've been getting these funds for 5 years. So I'll just share what I know. We've been getting the funds for 5 years. I don't know how they were distributed. I also was told that we didn't use all the funds as well, so I couldn't understand that, but $10,000 is such a little amount of money, but, that's because there are some previous committee members who are current committee members who were on the committee before. And they said that we didn't always follow funds. So I don't know, that's a great question. I don't know how, but we thought that, what Joanna had mentioned to me was that, that they approved like funding for student clubs, for example. And so that when we created our guidelines, we said, okay, then that means all student clubs need to know that there's this fund, right? Because if a few student clubs went and asked for funding, then, and somehow they knew that there was funding, then we need to make sure all the student clubs know that they can get funding from us. And of course, it has to be good. We funded, I'll just share really quick, their projects are so amazing. MECHA asked for funding for a free breakfast program modeled after the Black Panthers. And they want to do a free breakfast program, which is super dope. And then SJP, Students of Justice for Palestine, are bringing in a speaker, Butch Ware, who's a super powerful Muslim African American Black Studies professor at UC Santa Barbara. They're hosting him, and then the Bird Alliance Club also submitted for environmental justice conference type of symposium. So anyhow, I just thought it was so cool. So yeah, so the students, so that was like one thing I knew. So then we said, okay, then students, we have 2 ASG students in the committee. And so we said, okay, make sure you let the clubs know that they can request funds. But yes, I don't want to keep going because I know you're all like, almost like, I don't want to like take up time from your meeting. Yes.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. And I just want to say, regardless of what was happening before, I really appreciate having a very clear and equitable process to distribute funds that both students and employees have access to, and like a clear rubric. Because as we all know, there's always like pockets of funds, and there might be cases, let's just say, in which people get funds because they know the right people and they have relationships. And I know we're trying to move away from that as much as possible. And I think the diversity committee is modeling that in the best way possible, in making sure that everyone knows what's happening and being just totally transparent about how things are funded. So thank you for doing that. I know that was not, I know you could have made things a lot easier for yourselves and just kind of kept doing the same thing. So thank you for doing hard work to create more equity in the process.
Thank you so much, Jan. It's been really fun. We have a great committee. We made admin, faculty, classified, SPA, and students. Yeah.
One final one, and I don't remember if you said this, is the CDAC at the district level and our diversity committee at the campus level, is that tied to the EEO plan?
Yes, it is. Thank you for that. So that's like a whole other presentation. But it is tied to the EEO plan. And so we have each campus has 2 EEO reps. According to the plan on paper, it should be a classified and a faculty. Currently it is Dee Armstrong, who's an administrator, and Jocelyn Hill, who's a supervisor. And so I've been in conversations with Ricky about that, just like creating a process of reporting back, so that we know, there's like a bridge connection with what's going on there. I know that Johanna Polkowitz told me that they revised the plan every 2 years, so that's why it's important to have a very clear communication and reporting back from these 2 representatives. So I'm working with Ricky on that, especially because if it is calling for a faculty, it should be a faculty, at some point, whatever, however Ricky wants to move forward with this. Because it does say in the plan on paper that the president appoints, although Ricky has said he doesn't want to appoint, so we want to create a process, but anyhow, I don't think it's like at the top of the list. But yes, that is, we are part of that. The CDAC is part of it. And then I think when you were talking, Mona, I had one last thing. So yes, in regard to transparency, et cetera, I did send out the rubric. When we did the call out, I sent out the rubric. I sent out a framework. We had like a very simple DEIA framework, but I think we're gonna work on that next time. And part of the reason why we did this process is partly because of, like, frankly, like some of our experiences applying for certain things and they weren't necessarily transparent and we were getting denied and et cetera. And, or people weren't, anyhow, just things that on campus that function in a non-transparent way that we wanted to make it super transparent, accessible, make sure everybody knows that this funding exists. And so, yes, hopefully, you know, the next time around, it's gonna be even better. So thank you all. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda are the ASG resolutions. I'm going to turn it over to Selena, our student rep.
And I believe the first one is regarding the public advisors. Well, they're all in the attachment. Oh, okay, as well. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so this first resolution was inspired through a conversation with Britisha Boss, who came to our ASU meeting not too long ago. And so during these conversations, some of the members there brought up the issue with finding club advisors for their respective clubs on campus. And so the biggest challenge that they found was that it was very hard to find a full-time faculty member to be an advisor for their club. And so also coming from someone who personally had a club on campus last academic school year, took me about a month to find a full-time faculty member to be an advisor. So I thought that this was a great opportunity to just draft a resolution, and I've already presented this to the ASG, and they've all found it to be very impactful and useful if it does get passed in college council and then hopefully later on to the board trustees. So without further ado, I'll start with the whereas. Whereas all clubs and organizations must operate with an advisor identified by the student group and approved by the college president or designee. Whereas the San Diego Community College District recognizes that the advisor has a unique role with the club or organization, which is very rewarding and challenging, and advisors help students develop critical life skills and promote student development and civic responsibility. Whereas the San Diego Community College District negotiates with the American Federation of Teachers, AFT, through a faculty bargaining unit agreement to attempt to ensure, whenever practicable, that the annualized FTEF assignment for any adjunct faculty member does not exceed 67% or the maximum load value as established in the California Education Code during any one academic year. Whereas the specifically defined areas of ancillary activities of the faculty bargaining unit agreement of the San Diego Community College District, SDCCD, and American Federation of Teachers do not include club advising. Resolved that the SDCCD encourage colleges within their district to present guidelines and communication strategies to executive board members of recognized clubs on finding faculty to serve as advisors of their club. Resolved that the SDCCD encourage colleges within their district to include a summary of duties, responsibilities, and expectations of what club advising entails in Administrative Policy 5400. Therefore, allowing a faculty member to have a greater understanding of the advisor role within a club and make an informed decision between performing committee duties or club advising in accordance with contractual obligations. Resolved that the SDCCD encouraged the American Federation of Teachers, AOT, to include a definition or section on club advising duties, responsibilities, and expectations in the faculty bargaining unit agreement so that contract and adjunct faculty can make an informed decision on either to serve on a college committee or be an advisor. And lastly, resolved that the SDCCD encouraged the AFT to include clause and definition for club advising after 18.5.4.4 advising student organizations in section 18.5 adjunct faculty ancillary activities of of the faculty bargaining unit agreement to allocate compensation through AFT professional development funding and the like by SDCC. And then the two main sources that I use for this resolution are linked below. It's a resolution for this first one. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you for writing this. I have been in discussion, so everyone knows with the EST about this, and I've been hearing students even before Selena was president complain and which have raised concerns about the lack of advisors. And as a faculty member who co-advises 2 clubs, I know very well how much work it is, but also how meaningful it is. So from our conversation that we had, I want to just bring to the surface, I went through and read our CBA, and I learned that actually part-time faculty can serve as advisors. Not only can they serve as advisors, but they actually contractually are supposed to be able to be paid if there's room in their load to ESUs for the club that they advise, or for the club that they advise per semester. And I saw that, and my first instinct was like, wait, that must be a mistake, because everything I've heard is that people can't be paid for this work. So then I went and asked Jim if club advisors can be paid, and he did say that each adjunct club advisor can receive up to 2 ESUs, no limits, as far as like how many part-time faculty can do this. But he did say the catch is getting BPSS approval. And my understanding is that there aren't always funds available to do that, but it is in our contract. So I want to highlight that it is in our contract, and so it is up to AFT to make sure that there are funds available to honor our contract. Because what's in our contract there should be funds available to cover that. And up until now, my understanding is there's just not a culture of honoring that because it costs money. So I hope that we can support students more and that more part-time faculty, they know there are plenty of part-time faculty who would love to serve as advisors and could also really use that compensation. So however we can make that work, I think it's really important because it already has been bargained. The key is just to make sure that our AFT is making sure that is our CBA is being heard. So just for the room to hear that.
Yes, just making sure that language is clear in the bargaining unit. Currently not, as far as I'm aware. It's linked here if anyone wants to review it. And so I just want to make that language clear in that context to make sure that club advising is an ancillary activity.
I have a question. I don't know who can answer it, and I'm sorry if I'm naive and I don't know, but are there defined duties of what club advisor does? Like how often they go? Oh, great.
Yeah. Yes. So those hopefully those kinds of responsibilities, I believe, it's in this result. Yeah, somewhere, yes. So in the third result, we do ask for review from for the AFT to put a definition on club advising
Cool.
and responsibility.
Yeah. But does that not exist now?
As far as I'm aware, it might be briefly mentioned in the club registration package.
Oh, cool.
Those are affairs, but I don't know like where it comes to.
Awesome.
It's not in our CBA.
I was just thinking it'd be good to support this, to make sure that's defined, and it sounds like you're on it.
At some point, we were meeting with SPA and classified center. We're meeting with the dean of students to try to see if the supervisors or the classified can be club advisors, since there isn't enough for you guys. So I was wondering if anything ever came from that.
I know the district policy is you have to be a contract employee, except for like you said today.
Like a contract faculty or
Contract employee.
like they could be a classified professional or supervisor.
Yep.
I mean, if we're having problems, like we should probably try this for the course. If we're having problems in the future, that could be a solution to it.
And I want to voice on behalf of the classified senate that we're in support of that too. So can look at reaching out and finding out more information about how classified SPA can be involved.
I want to say one other thing. You said it's an ancillary activity. It's an ancillary activity. It doesn't count towards loan. doesn't count towards the 67%. It can be
I did not know that.
Any other questions or comments on the specific resolutions? If not, I'll move to the next. So this next one is regarding support of affordable student housing complexes priced below the California average market rent with implemented job opportunities, just seeing how we already have one right here, be already been constructed. I see this as a good opportunity to perhaps inspire the district to look into creating other affordable student housing complexes for the other sister community colleges. So I'll start with the whereas. Whereas the California Community Colleges Real College Survey found that 58% of California Community College student respondents were housing insecure and 34% had difficulties in paying rent and mortgage increase. Whereas the latest reports indicate that the average rental market price for a studio apartment in San Diego, California is more than $2,000, and that the average rental market price for a one-bedroom apartment and a two-bedroom apartment is more than $2,300. Whereas the San Diego Community College District, SDCCD, has initiated one of the affordable student housing complexes in California community colleges, specifically for students at San Diego City College, featuring nearly 800 beds, a food pantry, study spaces, a conference room, and more amenities in support of their low-income students, veterans, and former foster youth. Whereas the city of San Diego has issued a news release statement on the hourly minimum wage increasing to $17.75, effective on January 1st, 2026, for all employees working within San Diego city limits. Resolved that the SDCCD advocate for the establishment of affordable student housing complexes priced below the California average market rent for all colleges in the SDCCD. Resolved that the SDCCD recommends all its colleges to work with public and private partners as needed to mimic SDCC's affordable student housing complex and its various student service amenities. Resolved that the SDCCD recommends and supports integrated job opportunities such as federal work study positions, full-time positions, and part-time positions within its college's potential and actual student housing complexes. Resolved that the SDCCD encourages all colleges within the SDCCD, including those working with public and private partners, to consider affinity groups such as veterans, former foster youth, unhoused, cross-border, binational, and justice of practice students in priority placement of affordable housing units within actual and potential affordable student housing complexes. And then I do have all of my sources linked just behind that page. Second resolution, are there any questions or comments in this one specifically? Purpose. Moving on to my third and last resolution. This is for the establishment and creation of a commuter center at San Diego City College. This was also in some discussions with our president, Alicia Boz. And so one of the ideas that we have highlighted was that we do see a need for transborder students and just a lot of unhoused students to have spaces where they can store their luggage or their clothing, just like a place where they can store a lot of their things, since we do have a big traveling commuter student population in the neighboring cities of San Diego and also like across the border. So I found this is a great opportunity for them to hopefully find a place here at San Diego City College where they can do that. So I'll start with the whereas. Whereas San Diego City College is proud to be designated a Hispanic serving institution by the United States Department of Education, where SDCC is committed to student success, educational equity, and social justice. Whereas the amount of self-reported unhoused homeless or quote-unquote homeless students at SDCC are 1,355, or 9.77% of 13,871 students attending in the 2024 to 2025 academic year. Whereas Assembly Bill 91 allows students living in Mexico within 45 miles of the California-Mexico border to attend San Diego and Imperial County community colleges at in-state tuition rates, which include the San Diego Community College District. Whereas Board Policy and Administrative Policy 5021, California-Mexico Binational Agreement permit the colleges within the SDCCD to be F3 schools, which allows students to be classified as commuter students. Whereas the University of San Diego, the University of California, San Diego State University, and the University of San Diego have established a commuter center or commons for student commuters. Resolved that the SDCCD explore ways to create and establish a commuter center at SDCC for the purpose of serving a variety of affinity groups, including general commuter students within San Diego and other Southern California regions, unhoused students, and transborder students. Resolved that the SDCCD explores ways to support general commuter students, described unhoused students, and transborder students with services such as locker storage, community engaging activities, and lounge areas, in potentially establishing a commuter center at SDCC. Resolved that the SDCCD explores ways to include a potential commuter center at SDCCs as part of the A building expansion and Measure HH bond projects respectively. Resolved that the SDCC explores how the aforementioned universities operate and conduct services at their respective community spaces to encourage SDCC's potential planning for establishing a commuter center as they continue to emerge as the flagship college of the SDCCD, leading change for our students of various activities. And so, again, those sources are attached at the back of this page, and I'm open for any questions or comments. Yes,
Just kind of going back and looking, does it say about how much space you receive, you know, and how much space it would be? You know, we'll be looking like in a certain amount to potentially grow into another amount.
Yes. I think it could vary because I did hear about some spaces already being vacant already on campus. So I am in the talks with the Dean of Student Affairs, Adon, who I work with closely to see like what identifiable spaces there are for, but we do want this to be like a prominent aspect of our campus since we do serve a large proportion of unhoused students and just transport students in general. So I just wanted this to be like a special center for them. So we're gonna identify some spaces first, hopefully in the future, and then just to seek support from the college.
I was just thinking, whatever you find, because that's what we, you know, at the beginning. And then maybe if you could work with the students to then kind of propose, this could be phase 1.
Yeah.
Right, and then maybe a phase 2, because we know this is always going to be an issue for us here at City College, so why not keep dreaming, and seeing what else is out there, and that way we always have, you know, because space is gonna come and go on this campus like it always does, so you have something in place and ready to go, and a space is vacant. It's just a suggestion.
Suggestion to, we were talking at the library about creating a commuter area too. So if we get together with Marley and contact me, we can get meetings, so we can try to at least try to make it the LRC a little more friendly. Some of the things you brought up are things that have traveled, so thank you for that.
Yeah. Very good. Any other questions or comments?
Great job, Selena.
Okay, thank you.
I was, heard you say lockers for students. Do you have any idea of how they do it at other places that have commuter centers for students? They have someone manning the lockers, watching what people put in, make sure it's security and safe aspects are taken care of.
Yeah, well, I haven't necessarily explored like how exactly they have their storage spaces for commuter students. But I have heard about requests for students to at least put their clothes in there to have like an extra change of clothes they can change later on, or just put like their hygiene items, since some of the students do shower at the basic needs center, and so this is just a place where they can store their personal items, what they request. And so it'll probably be like one of those like regular high school lockers. They're about like my height basically. So a spacious locker would be something that's right for them.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you, AFC. I have never seen so many resolutions come out of AFC. You all have been so busy. Just last night, you presented a resolution, and one of your members presented and passed a resolution at academic senate, which I'll be sharing at the next college council meeting. So I just really appreciate your advocacy, how hard you're working to do the right thing for students. Thank you so much.
If there's no other questions or comments, we'll go on to it.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on our agenda to item number 6, the revised faculty hiring process from Mr. Robertson Mona.
Thank you. So I'm just going to focus on some of the major changes, and Sean and Nick, if you have anything to add, please feel free to jump in. Last year, we started a work group designed to look at and potentially revise the faculty hiring process. And we completed our work for the semester. We presented the new process to Senate, both the new process and also revised criteria, and it passed. So what you see here is an outline of the process. The next steps now are beginning to meet with and train the committee. We have a group of committee members, which includes both faculty from each school and some administrators. The two big changes are one, as you heard, we have a committee now, which is different because previously all of the chairs participated in faculty hiring prioritization, which is a pretty big group. So we're hoping that a smaller group that has kind of more time to focus on this will result in more thoughtful list. We'll have more time to discuss the list instead of just kind of like rank and move forward. We have a chance to kind of like really look at what the needs are. And then the second major change, which will result in hopefully a little less work for this committee, is that we decided collectively that a replacement process is needed. So currently, if a faculty member leaves the department or retires, their position then goes into a pot, which then gets reprioritized. So the department completely loses that position unless it's prioritized again. And sometimes they have to wait years. So for example, Sustainable Agriculture lost their only full-time faculty member and still hasn't been able to hire a new one because they're not at the top of the list. This process says that as long as the department can demonstrate the need, that they have enough classes for a full-time faculty member, then they can automatically replace. We do need to refine that process so it's a little more clear, and that's what the committee is going to work on. But so far, we have already used it. There were two needs for replacements in cybersecurity. There was a sudden resignation, and the student health clinic nurse. In both cases, I could sense the anxiety around like, oh, we have to go through the FAQs process. We have to ask for, because there is a process to ask to move up the list. But it's a process, and you don't know for sure if the chairs and the faculty will agree that position is coming up to kind of skip up to the top of the list. In this case, we're able to say, okay, do they have a demonstrated need? Of course they do. You get to go back out and hire right. So it saves us so much time while still maintaining like a thoughtful process. Everyone, I think in general, was on board with this, so it's a really big win for our faculty, and I think administrators are equally supportive. And it is also just a work in progress. Like this is a completely new process for us, so we will be continuing to review it and see what works, what doesn't, and so we're open to suggestions. Do you have anything to add?
You alluded to, but I'll just reiterate what I've been saying, which is that we need a metric or a way to evaluate the replacement process, just because, every program is allocated FTF for full-time faculty, so classes aren't really a great indicator of that, but I'm sure we'll work that out together.
Any questions?
I know there was discussion on non-instructional faculty and instructional faculty, and I see it's alluded to in the rubric, but will that be something that the committee looks at more as far as how those are scored?
Yeah, so as far as like library faculty and counselors, those positions, as far as the data, the way that there are two questions that specifically relate to data, we'd be looking at students served, per faculty for now, until, unless we come up with something better. And, yeah,
What about ones for like my position? Because that would directly,
Yeah.
well, like indirectly affect students, but how would something like that be?
Well, we're probably not gonna hire another professional development coordinator.
Well, no,
So,
but there is,
we would replace. right?
yeah. But there is, I have been just, I might as well talk about it here. I've been discussing about with, an instructional designer, which is different than my position, but would fall under professional learning. In which case that individual doesn't directly work with students. So, I mean, it's a very specific example, but just something to,
we should talk about that, and there
Yeah.
are going to be exceptions like that. And that's a new position that doesn't exist on our campus.
yeah, not on our campus, but in the district. It does.
For existing positions, that's a non-issue, because if it's an existing position like yours, or like, articulation officer, they have to be automatically replaced because they're the only ones. But for new positions, we have to talk about that. Things
Yeah,
to bring it up.
new positions, new programs are gonna be a little bit of a challenge, but that's more for
But-
expansion.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so niche.
I should also highlight that the drawback, there is a drawback, is that less positions will become available. So right now, anytime someone retires or leaves, that position goes back into the pool, and the next person on the FHP list, next department gets to potentially hire. Whereas now, because the replacement process is in place, like, for example, those two positions, in other words, there normally would have been, back in the pool, and someone else would have gone to hire. Now that they are back into the department, it means less new positions. So that is the challenge. We're just gonna have less new faculty positions, but I think everyone understands that it's worth it, because departments generally need to be able to replace someone. And, Nick brought up a really good point, that it also takes off some of the burden off the faculty member that's considering retiring. Because, faculty who are considering retirement often have to think about the department. If I leave this department and then they have no full-time faculty, or they're, very few, and they might not get another position for years and years and years. And that's, like, I wouldn't want to leave my department and feel like that, right? I would hate to leave my department knowing I was creating a void. But now people can retire knowing, in general, hopefully they will get a replacement, and they can feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah, should provide more general stability, right, in programs and departments.
It'll take time, I think. There's a lot of us who have retirements that won't benefit from this replacement process, but I think, over time, it'll work itself out.
And as we continue, it is retirement season, I'll say, so as I continue to get new forms every day, we continue to fill on that list, and.
Go on the next one on that list.
Well, that's exactly, so I was just looking at Andy, because retirement is in his area, and, I think it was philosophy, right?
Yes.
So the next one on the list is humanities, so if it fits, I mean, it almost.
Well, if someone from philosophy retires, for example, and they have a demonstrated need for a new professor, then they should be able to replace.
Yeah, and then humanities lost from last year, so there's nobody in humanities.
So we're not saying.
Two in philosophy.
Same department. Yeah, well,
That's arguable. Philosophy might argue that they are not the same department. Or
No, they're
discipline experts.
They just share the same liaison.
Oh,
Yeah, they have their own
no one
disciplines.
in that.
oh, you know, like.
Yeah, different disciplines, same.
Well, they're all in
Right.
the English department, so I mean, you want to go that way.
They are not the English department, you're English, philosophy, humanities, labor studies, all those things. But one more thing to mention,
Can I just add, and I didn't think about it, so, Marciano and I had the opportunity to sit with one last week with this, and both, I mean, the clinic nurse, without a clinic nurse, then we have to shut down the clinic. I mean, so there's like that need is already demonstrated, and that was like so happening at the same time as we're listening to this process. We're both even thinking, what do we have to go through to be able to get to that place? And this was just really much easier, and it was really the anxiety that we both had was really very quickly suffocated with this.
Yeah, so the other burden that we feel like we're lifting, so not only the anxiety for admin when they're asked, can we move up to the top of the list, but also, so right now, the way it works is during program review, all faculty are told or feel like they need to apply, like demonstrate the need for a position. So everyone applies for a position. Everyone, creates a narrative around why they need a faculty member, a new faculty member in the department. They do that because there is no replacement or there wasn't a replacement process. So if they lose someone, they have to be able to demonstrate in program review that they have to be on the FHP list. So everyone would apply. So even people who may not need a new faculty member, but want to make sure that they're on the list in case a replacement is needed, are applying. And that's a lot of extra paperwork for chairs. And so now the way we're shifting is only apply if you actually need a new faculty member. And we are, well, now, sorry, I'm English, so Nick probably in math department is going to help provide and maybe Sean the data so that people can actually look at their data based on the formulas that we've developed with the committee and say, oh, okay, does it look like we actually will have the courses according to this data to offer a new faculty member? And if it's below a certain number, then they're automatically triggered to say, okay, either we don't have the classes to offer a new person, or we do, but I need to be able to demonstrate like there's something missing from me, which might happen. So so it will reduce the overall.
3 more items and there's just about 15 minutes left. So I'll keep quiet.
I just wanted to ask, have you considered, there's the 75-25 that we're supposed to be striving for, with 75% of all classes are taught by full-time and 25. But have you thought of that in the data? And I know it would depend on how many classes as well, but also.
It's worked in, it is. That's the short answer. We'll talk later. Okay.
And I think we should go for a CHIP process to CHP.
Mhm.
Classified hiring organization.
Yeah,
That would be very needed. Yeah.
Moving on then, any other questions for that topic? All right, seeing none, then we're gonna move on to the ICE response protocol. Start the users.
Yeah, in your packet, there is a copy of a draft of our ICE response protocol. Is being looked at several groups here on campus and so we're getting feedback, so I'm gathering feedback. Do you guys have any edits or feedback on the document? Please send them over to me.
Yeah, and if you don't know the answer, I'm not trying to put on the spot, but I was reading through this because I know a lot of faculty have been really looking for this. Can we lock the door to our classroom?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure. I'm assuming that, and I do it anyways if you said no, but. No, I just think something like that would be good to include, that like you can secure your room.
And
If you know
Actually
that, because,
encouraging folks.
but I didn't see it. Am I wrong? Maybe Adam?
No, the
Thanks.
I think what Ricky mentioned is you could feel free to do whatever is needed to make your students feel.
Some folks don't want to be in that position of having to lock the door, but some other folks, so
Yeah.
good. So I think we're looking at it in the other way, to say like, no one's gonna get in
Good
trouble.
to
for
know if
locking
I
the
can
door.
just like, you can pound on the window all day long.
Yes,
I just make just a general observation quickly. So in section 1, notify immediately. If you become aware that an activity is happening on campus, on your campus. But then if you look at part 3, it just says if ICE is nearby, these following things. I guess I would like for number 3 to be cleared up a little bit. If ICE is nearby, that's a little too vague, I think, right? Like I see an SUV on the street. Do I do?
and that's what that will look at, because we are near a federal building too in red.
Couple of questions, observations, but go ahead, Cindy.
Oh, I was gonna say the students can also make suggestions.
Yeah.
So one comment there is a group of faculty and students on campus that are holding, trainings that are led specifically by, so not by the district, but they're led by community organizations like the City Heights Defense Organization, Community Body of, that do this training all over San Diego. They're very well trained and they have had a lot of success in preventing ice raids in certain areas. So in the way the training is working is in alignment with this policy. Mostly we're teaching people what to look out for.
Yeah.
And a lot of what they're teaching folks is actually just like keep your eyes open. Like watch where you're going, look around, know where the exits and entrances are. Like things to just think about in terms of how to be safe. So my second thing is question, I don't know the answer, but I keep hearing that there's gonna be district training for actual on the ground, just like I was describing, these organizations are doing the training, but I heard that the district is also doing training. Do you know who's gonna be facilitating that training, which group or organization or person?
I haven't heard about district trainings. I know our sister campus, CE, we're having trainings on campus within, so I think we'll be doing the same here.
It's kind of like what we do with the manager and the supervisor.
Well, it was in line with what Caesar was saying, when we were in health, remember we were in health and safety. Lieutenant Hughes talked about campus police was working, the chancellor was there on the train, but there was no specific like dates or, but that was the first one of that, Caesar shot. I just thought he was part of it. I don't know who-
He was reporting on.
Yeah.
That's been the big question that I've heard. Is campus police gonna be facilitating?
Enough.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know, I'm not sure exactly how this fits into, but we talked about the idea of distinguishing between campus police, like campus police and ICE agents. There's specific aspects of the uniforms for SDCC. And if you see any uniformed person, you should be able to tell the difference, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm not exactly sure how that fits into this, but I feel like we should.
And I think if there's, any question, go through the process, right? If they feel that they may be ICE or not, go through the process, contact the, dispatch, chancellor's office.
I
No,
actually
that makes sense.
have a flyer about how they identify ICE, and I'll just pass it on, people can take pictures.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions? Well, I'll be sending it out, try to listen. Hopefully be, back up, appreciate the,
I think also feedback on the building captains, it's kind of new, we're also gonna be doing training for them.
but this is a living document, about things, policies change. This will also be updated.
Where, once it's, I think the current version, where will it be found?
It will be found on our website. We already have a page, dedicated for, ICE protocol, for
Oh, that's
information,
right, okay.
resources.
Magali's working on reviewing this, but the purpose of truancy groups, do this information as well, so that they, our protocol should be much in line with what our sister campuses are.
How often is your training?
We just had one last Friday, and they're actually gonna hold another one on the 20th, but what they're specifically looking for are faculty and or staff who are willing to be like a point of contact for each building. I know there's like building captains, but I think they're specifically looking for faculty. We're thinking about people who are in the classroom around students and can be like a point of contact in our faculty network. So that's, you're welcome to attend. They did a really good job of helping us to feel more confident in just doing what we all can on the ground. So yeah, you're welcome. And I can also give you cards for the organizations and the info that they gave us. So, if you want to do something for your spots, managers, yeah, if you want to invite them to do something for managers. Helpful.
Will there be more beyond that?
If there's a need, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So hard to schedule it out. It'd be nice if it was a few weeks out, that way Walk off my schedule.
Yeah.
Just say something.
Yeah, I'll give that feedback.
All right, the next couple items are standing items. Is there anything, John, Boyce, that you'd like to provide the campus safety update?
Yes. Thanks,
Go
down. Got some bullets I just wanted to review with you since I've spoken last time here at the meeting. We've got 7 different safety trainings this spring 2026 semester. 2 have been completed, 5 are coming up. And then in summer, we're planning to do 2 new CSER 3-day training sessions. So the ones that are still to come, we've just finished the SDCCD Safe App training, which is now recorded on our website, the safety website. We just today finished the CSER Incident Command System refresher class. And we've got coming up first aid CPR refresher, rally points and campus map training, fire and safety and fire extinguisher refresher, search and rescue training, earthquake and emergency preparedness training, triage and basic first aid refresher should a big incident occur. And finally, in May, heat safety and hydration. All those classes are listed on our website for safety. We've also now got fully installed the 2 new Talkaphone blue light towers on either side, the west and east side of this building. They're connected up to the system and fully functional. We've got a new charter high school this semester on campus. I don't know if you know that. So we've got a total of 5 high schools involved with our campus. 2 of them are San Diego Unified Schools and 3 of them are charter schools. We've had an uptick in spring semester daylight thefts on campus. So far, they've been minor thefts. We've had AEDs stolen, fire extinguishers, student laptops. But the good thing is we've had a reduction in building vandalism this semester. And then I've been trying to do more one-on-one with people. So I've had additional one-on-one safety meetings and presentations with departments and instructors this semester, including DSPS and Disability Services Learning Center, ceramics, art and design department, nursing, photography, biology, chemistry, food service, campus police, information technology, early child care, campus high schools, counseling, student health center, and basic needs center, to name a few. Does anyone have any questions of me? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Metro HH is the next enemy. We already had presentations from Seville folks, and we will have presentations coming up from athletics, and then also the A building expansion will make theirs once they move into the same thing. So
I just wanted to add to, in the HCH, there's also site improvements that we're working on, health and safety site improvement. We kind of spoke to the health and safety, but we just did a job walk today. We're starting a lighting project for the Seville Theater, the exterior lighting of both the east and west side. We're starting a lighting project on first and second level of Garfield Park Construction.
Yes.
So we did that walk. And then we also have some gates that are going over at the DT building. I don't know if everybody's aware of B Street, the office windows look out B Street, but there's actually a little area that people have been living in. So we're gonna put some gates over there, and then we're also working on the upper level. Well, that's just some things that we added 2 more. If you notice on the west side here, there's another blue light or emergency calls. And there's also one on the southeast corner of the LRC. So there's some of them. I mean, I have a whole list. There is a lot going on. So.
seems as if she'll stay behind.
Yeah.
To listen.
I have a question about, this John mentioned it too,
Sure.
about the blue pole up here. how do they affect the air conditioning in this? I'm just gonna ask that question.
Not at all.
Nothing to do with that.
So
Unrelated.
the HVAC was, this is ironic, right? The HVAC was replaced in this building. But on Friday, they're in the commissioning stage right now. It's the final stage. And each of the ductwork has a fire sensor in it. So if there's a fire or smoke in it, it automatically shuts the AC off the rooms. Well, they did that test on Friday and two of them didn't work. Well, one of them was in here. So I called before the meeting to see if there's nothing we can do. Alright, it's a brand new, like, new.
Just asking because I pay them lots of money as well, so Daniel.
You think it's hot in
I've
here?
seen the emails.
You go into my office.
They're working.
Well, if you want cold air, you can sit in my office where it's literally like 20 below zero.
Mine too.
Coming out, that's tundra.
I just had to put it out this, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, it is 3:56 and.
Oh, one more.
Oh, sorry, yes.
I want to invite everyone tomorrow at 3 p.m. in the cafeteria in front of the mural. We're going to be having our classified forum with executive team. Everyone's invited. We got nachos, so come and join us. We're going to be having conversations around our 36-hour work week pilot and, of course, ICE response and preparation and some other concerns from our classified folks. So everyone is invited. That's tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Seeing none, it is 3:56 and we